took a hot second, man. But dog, dude, I'm happy we got it, man. But thank you so much for joining me today, bro. Yo, I'm a fan, bro. I'm a big fan. The first time I saw you, absolutely, man. The first time I saw you, I'm not gonna lie, was on the Tuesday Night Contender series. And, and I'll be the first to admit, man, every time I see a brother come on there, I'm absolutely cheering for the black dude. I'm like, all right, let's see what he has. Let's go for it, you know? And you went out there second round, nasty 1-2. And once I saw you, I think it was the left hook with the right hand over the top. And drop dude, ugly dude, like I said, put him straight into like the shadow realm. And and now, like I said, man, you're on. Honestly, I think personally, you should be on an 8-fight winning streak. Your record's 10-2. Because I absolutely think you beat Zach Otto. 1,000%. I think you beat him. But dude, please tell me a little bit about, like I said, just for the listeners and everything going. Again, first of all, thank you for joining me. And dude, yeah, man, tell me a little bit about your journey, man.
Oh, I mean, I started off training in New York originally, and then I moved to California, and I was training in San Jose for a while, and actually just recently I just moved down to San Diego.
Oh,
so
Alliance?
Yeah, Alliance. I'm training down here now.
Dude, great
team. It's been all over the place. The thing about me is, like, everywhere I go, I try to learn everything I can, and, like, you know what I mean, like, really absorb the martial arts in the area. Awesome, you know, like everything that's available. I started training, funny enough, in Kung Fu first.
That's what's up.
It was JKD. So it had Muay Thai, it had Jiu-Jitsu, it had different things. But one of the main guys for it, Dan DeSanto, who was Bruce Lee's protege, he came to our school and gave us a speech. And he was, you know, doing a seminar also, but he was talking about how every 10 years he, you know, goes on this journey, he learns new skills and grows as a martial artist. And I've been trying to, like, keep that with me. So, you know, like, every time I train somewhere, I try to get everything I can, the martial arts in the place from the people. And, you know, like, I try to build myself up to be, like, you know, the best I can be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I mean, you've gone to 2 of the best teams in the planet, man. That's like being, I mean, first of all, AK, I've had Rosendo on the show before.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, oh, good dude, man. Good dude. He's been on a couple times. So I know the quality of the coaches. I mean, you have DC, you got everybody there, man. For yourself, though, how did they, going from New York, coming to San Jose, how did that benefit your skill set? And being there with those coaches, how do you feel like your game as a martial artist really rose?
Oh, in San Jose?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can tell you right now, I can wrestle for crap. I can wrestle in my life. I remember the first wrestling practice when they were saying things. I was like, "Are they speaking English? What is that? What is that?" Like, you know, like they're like down block, run the pound.
You're like, oh, okay.
I was looking down, right? Yeah. So that was definitely, and also just training with them and sparring with them all the time. You know, like, because I was there for a lot of years before I got into UFC and got into the show, and I did a lot of sparring with these guys. You know, from heavyweight all the way to lightweight, and, you know, I got a lot of experience with them, but also with their mentality and watch them spar each other. You know, I think that's the thing that is really priceless. It's not just the knowledge you get, like, verbally, but being able to watch and get the feeling. Almost like you might know a math problem, like know the formula, but then when you know why it works, it sticks with you, you know? So I got the why a lot there, you know?
That's awesome, man. And dude, being there, I mean, just looking at, even from when I saw you, for instance, in the Tuesday Night Contender series, which I want to ask you about, because that in itself, with all Corona and everything going on, it seems like that's how fights are going to be from now on. Like 12 people in a room, that's it. But I got to ask you about that. But dude, you're like, from there to your last couple fights, and I know I also got to talk to you about some of the injuries you've had, because it's been about a year since you've competed. But because I want to see how your recovery's been going, man. But I saw your skill set jump, man. Like, each fight, you can see you getting more comfortable and growing and stuff. Do you feel like just being there and knowing, like, yo, dude, I belong here, has that, like, really helped you out in your process through in your career now?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think the biggest change for me, I mean, it's kind of like a thing that I feel a lot of martial artists, a lot of people who are kind of like, you know, quiet people, like, you know, introverted kind of people, like, they have this problem where they might believe themselves, but they're afraid to say it out loud, you know?
Absolutely.
And the biggest change I had was I started saying it out loud. When I started saying things out loud, and I'm not talking about being boastful, but just being like, when someone says, "Hey, you know, how are they gonna do this weekend?" Like, and I'm thinking like, I'm gonna destroy this guy, and I'm like, I'm gonna try my best, and I'm gonna, you know, that energy of kind of holding back how you really feel, like over time affects you. So you know, I think it's really important to be able to express yourself, and that's what I really got. I got the ability to express myself from being there, from looking at around and saying, look, this guy's a world champion, that guy's a world champion. You know, I'm training with this guy, I'm hanging with this guy. Like, why would I think that I can't compete on a higher level?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And once I made that decision, I ran with it. You know, like any opponent, just come on.
Well, well, dude, it's working. Whatever you're doing, brother, it seems to be working, man. Like I said, it has been about a year, and I know even on your IG a couple of days ago you posted about it and stuff like that. Bro, how is the recovery been? And granted, we know we have some time to wait. Well, I don't know if it's up to Dana. He's sending us all to Mortal Kombat, but you know, but for yourself, fam, like, how has that process been for you?
It's been kind of rough.
I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Yeah, I'm sure, man.
But the funny thing about it is because you know, I always try to take things with a little bit of humor, and it also, but like it was easy in terms of the initial injury, because I tore my bicep, and like, you know, it was a very mechanical healing process. Like within 4 months, I was good. I was like, hey, you know, I was hitting pads and I was like moving around, and this was fine. But then I found out right at that time when I was at my highest point, I went through all the rehab and I was pushing. I kept thinking of you ever seen that movie, the Bruce Lee story, the Dragon story, like where like he hurts his back and he's training, he's trying to come back. I kept about it. I watched all these different things and I was getting hyped. So now I'm feeling good and I'm training. And then I found out that I actually had a foot injury that was bothering me, but it's not that bad. It's just a foot. It was really actually messed up. I actually like crushed a part of my foot, and I'm walking around with it and training for like months. So then,
just a savage. Hey man, why you let DC step on your foot like that, man?
No, but it was actually it was from the fight. So that night you know, like it was hurting and it was healing. But it got to a point to where I was just kind of like, yeah, it'll take care of itself. But it was actually a pretty rough injury, and then I might have had to have surgery. And that, once I heard that, man, I got so sad. Like all this, like, I'm about to fight soon, turned into like, oh my gosh, what is going on? You know, I started thinking about all the responsibilities I have, you know, as a father and a husband, you know, and things I have to do. I didn't want to wait another year. That would have been an extra like time to heal. But thank God, everything worked out, and like right now I'm 110%. Awesome, like feeling
so when
great.
do you think? And I mean, again, Dana's trying to get everybody to fight. He's out there on some, you know, who's willing to fight and risk their lives. What's up? With him, how like for you, what's your timetable? You say you're ready to come back, and now you're in Alliance. I mean, for you, when would you ideally want to be back?
Well, honestly, I wanted to fight this Saturday coming. It was April 18th. Like from before, I wanted to. My plan was to come here and then train and then fight in April. But then as I was getting my way back down, like I was like, okay, well, now I'm lighter than I've ever been. Everything's fine. And then this thing happened, and all of a sudden, like we couldn't train as much. I couldn't go to the gym to train. I had to kind of make my own schedule and do things differently. And it affected me a little bit, because the most thing that affected me was my confidence in losing weight. You know, so like I wanted to fight. Well, yeah, this Saturday had an opportunity to, but I didn't know if I could make weight because I was like still coming down from, you know, like man. I posted the thing on IG at 2:15, but that's after I started working out, you know, like you know what I mean? So like I needed to be consistent training, and now I've kind of toned up in my training at home, and I'm light again, like really good. So I'm in the, you know, the 90s again.
Bro, because you're big for the weight class, bro.
Well, the irony of it is I was small for the weight class up. So I used to fight 185, and I loved it. But every time I fought, I felt like I was the little guy, and like even just getting pushed up against the cage, I'm like, okay, you know, we're gonna have to work on something. So it's like a weird in between. But here at 170, I feel so much stronger. One, because everybody's like around my size, and I have like more tools. I feel so. But the thing about it is with being able to fight and the time coming back, I would love to fight at that May 9th card. Would be awesome. Like I'm trying to fight as soon as I possibly can, because for me, the desire has been there for like a couple months. And if the opportunity arises, I'm gonna jump into it. It's gonna be tough for sure, but it's like a weird fear and excitement, because the fear is you don't know what's happening, you don't know when it's gonna be, you don't know like how it's gonna be, what the situation is gonna be, and then the excitement is the same exact thing. All that makes it exciting also, and I think it'll be great to get back as soon as possible.
Let me ask you this. You were at one of the greatest teams in the world, like we talked about. Now you're at one of the other ones. What went into the? I mean, I know you're picking, you choose, you're trying to get as many skills as you can. And me personally, I think that fighters should have that Ronin mentality. I'm gonna go around. I'm a samurai. I need to learn as much as I possibly can everywhere. What went into your decision to actually go to Alliance and leave AKA?
Well, the thing about it is like that's like. The story I was telling about Dan Santo, that was what initially got me to go to California. Because California from New York, I mean, it's a big journey, but at the time it was huge because MMA wasn't legal in New York. So like I was going to another place and I was taking a risk in the sense that I'm just not, I can have conversations and stuff, but I'm not a very like outgoing in a group of people kind of person. So for me to jump to another team and like do all this stuff was terrifying.
I'm sure.
So when I got there, like I set up shop. My wife came with me after a couple months of getting settled there, and I plan on staying there forever. Yes. But through training and being there and getting a lot of good learning opportunities and stuff like that, I just wasn't getting for me what I needed to be able to move forward. And I saw an Alliance because I went and visited for a little bit and I trained there and I got to talk to the coaches. Talk to the team, get the feel there, and that is more of the ideal of what my training and my life as a martial artist should be. Like being here, it just had that. Also, as far as family goes, my wife had opportunity to work here as well, and she could find a place to be there. And I wanted to raise my son in this area, and so all those things. But the most important thing I think was just coming and training at the place and meeting the team and meeting the coaches. My style is weird. It's weird in the sense that while even though I know what it is, like it's never the same for me every fight. Whatever the person does affects the way I fight, and I don't like to kind of have too much of a structured way of fighting.
Okay.
And when I came here and I spoke to everyone, they had an ideal of how to set things up to where I could kind of, just express myself better. And that was an amazing opportunity.
Well, being the fact that you're with somebody like Dom Cruz, who's down there, and other people, I mean, you saying that, to me, it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that seems like, even like everybody who's been there, even in the past, Brandon Vera's, even the Gus, like everybody, you go down the list of the guys who've been there in the past, everyone kind of fights like, it seems like it's like very free-flowing. And honestly, the head coach there, Del Fiero, I didn't want to say it wrong. I was like, I know his name, but I've been messing it up. But with him, it seems like that his style is like, what's your benefit? How do you do it? And let's rock it, which is really dope, man. That's awesome.
Well, two things about that too. It just kind of went into it also. Like for me, Muay Thai is like my favorite art, even though I did Kung Fu and stuff like that. I like Muay Thai a lot. And I saw how they help, Angela, she trains there and she evolved amazingly there and gained so many other abilities. Amazing, right? like the best of the best. And then also, even coming off of injury, I saw how they worked with Dom to come back. We watch these things, like I say we because I'm an athlete in the sport, but I'm a fan like almost first. So I've been watching it for so long. That I've seen athletes come back from injuries before, and I used to watch. I watched so many documentaries on ESPN, on like all kinds of online things, and it seems like so, like it's almost it has to happen. But then when I was going through it, I saw that no, like nothing is definite. At any point, things can go wrong, and you thought you were going to be fine, and all of a sudden, like nah, bro, it's never going to be the same again. So that to me, and seeing how people like that came back, I know the mentality has to be there. I know the skill set was there, and then opportunity was there. So that was a lot of things that also kind of led me to that place.
Dude, it makes, dude, that's really dope, man. And I can understand the journey. Now, you mentioned Angela Hill, and it's funny because we're noticing it, and I've seen it too. Black athletes in MMA.
Yeah.
To this day, I still don't believe that black athletes get the credit and the props that they deserve. It's amazing that we're starting to see, like Adesanya do his thing, DC's the name, but even DC doesn't get the love that he deserves, right?
Yeah.
John, I'm not gonna talk about, but I'm not going there. How have you seen the growth and the adaptation, and do you think it's something that we need to have a little bit more? People need to pay attention to more, because let's be honest, especially Black American dudes, we're starting to really run the sport.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, historically, it's definitely been that way from the offset. It was just like getting into sports. You can look at all these documentaries where they show like heavyweight boxers and other like weight classes in boxing, like how they kind of came into fighting and being represented, what it meant to the people when they fought, what it meant to everybody when they fought. How people reacted when the fights were on the radio. I'm talking about combat sports, not to mention even like baseball and other sports like that, but just in combat sports, what it means when people see someone that looks like them, in combat. Like it's something that you can't describe, and I think that's why combat sports is so I don't like, it's such a deep feeling when you're watching it, because you get kind of tied into the person, and you really want to see them win. Like I mentioned before, like, when DC fought Miocic, like, man, like in the second fight, like, I know the guy, and so it hurts a little. I felt it a lot for that reason too. But just because I've been a fan of his from before, like, I was like, oh my gosh, you really, really want to see these people win, and when they don't, you feel like, man, like it's just such a huge blow to you. And when you feel that with somebody, you can't help but to check up on them and see how they doing, and want to watch them again. I'm talking about as a fan, just checking to see where their career is going, and seeing how they bounce back and these kind of things. But to the main question, I think it's something we have to be aware of. And it's more of how we approach it, Like when we're talking about someone, like, what are you saying about them, as opposed to like, what are you not saying? Like, I think one thing black athletes don't get enough credit for is being intellectual. It's like, I don't just mean like in speech, but I mean like in action.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna give a prime example, and I'm trying not to rant, but it's something that
rant
really,
all day, man. We're good.
that really pisses me off. Mike Tyson is one of the best boxers, if not the best boxer of all time, right? Like, I love Mike Tyson. If you're from New York, you watch Play Mike Tyson and listen to a lot of DMX. You used to go hand in hand and compete and prepare for a fight before we compete, right?
Yeah.
So I've heard for years people say, well, he was just so explosive, and he was just so explosive, and the genetics of the. Listen, man, this is a smart and intellectual man. He's in the fight, like, measuring, like, he's positioning himself. He's exploding, but he's not just like blasting off like a TNT bomb. It's C4. It's specific targeting areas that he's hitting and creating opportunities to land bigger shots, and that is like a major thing. But it trickles down to everyone,
Absolutely.
Like, I see it happen a lot. So I think that's the main thing. We have to be aware of not just the praise that we give them, but how we give the praise.
How do you think, in that case, how do we make the sport more popular in our communities? Because I feel like we're starting to see people kind of pay attention to the sport, but it's amazing when you actually look at it. And for black people, I look on Twitter, every time Conor does something, we're like, oh man, look at Conor doing his thing. And I'm not trying to knock Buddy at all. I think he is absolutely an elite talent. But the reason that he is who he is because he takes black culture. I'm the notorious one. I walk out to Biggie. I'm in LA. I'm going da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know what's up, man. Like, we see this. So how can we elevate it for our communities?
Well, I think one thing about it is more MMA schools, more Muay Thai schools, more martial arts schools in these areas, like in our areas. Because growing up, I saw a lot of boxing gyms. As a matter of fact, like my uncles were boxers. You know, like I've been in a boxing gym before as a little kid, just sitting down watching people train, and they were all over the place. Like I even on the J train, just going by, there was a boxing gym just on Myrtle or around Myrtle Ave. Like this, you see them all the time to the point to where it doesn't even affect you anymore. You know. But what that means is there's opportunities to these gyms everywhere. But as far as MMA or Muay Thai or anything like that, or especially wrestling, like there was no wrestling gyms. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to go to high school and wrestle. Like me and my friend Keyshawn, like we wanted to be wrestlers. Like we were like, dude, wrestling is it. You know, like we used to watch WWE and stuff like that too. We wanted to learn how to do everything. And like, but when we started trying to apply for high schools, we realized that there was no schools in the area. This is in 98, 2000. You know, so there was no schools in the area.
We're the same age, bro. Yeah, we're the same age, and I'm from Chicago actually. So
cool.
So real similar, and a bunch of my homies are from New York. So like everything you're saying, like it's realistically Chicago, New York, we're the only like metropolises in the States, man. Those are the only real cities. I don't care what nobody says. We're the only two cities out here, all right? So I feel you. So what you're saying, I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you didn't have an opportunity to train how to wrestle. You know, like train a grappling art. I'm not even talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know, just you had opportunities for Taekwondo. You had opportunities for maybe Judo, but mostly you just had boxing. So we need more boxing gyms, more more MMA gyms, more schools in our neighborhoods to give people the opportunity, because it's not that like, you know, that we don't like it, you know, it's just that it's not there for you to really connect with it, because when you compete in it, you're able to see the little nuances that make it interesting. You know, a good example, like me and my grandfather, I grew up with my grandfather, me and him watched every boxing match you could think of, like everything, like every week, all week, we watched boxing all the time. Well, two times we had an opportunity to watch MMA and kickboxing, and we kind of just like, I don't know about this. We watched a kickboxing match. I can't remember who the guys were, but it was exciting because they were striking. We understood striking, you know, and there was some kicks, and we were like, you know, got to an axe kick. We was like, okay, cool, you know, but we watched it. But it was an MMA match we watched, and we were excited about it. And then the guy got taken down. Me and him just sitting there looking. You know, and I was like, you know, really young at the time, but he didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. We changed the channel because we just didn't understand. I think the public as a whole has a better understanding of what MMA is and what jiu-jitsu and wrestling, you know, are, so they can kind of bridge that gap. But I think if we had more schools in our neighborhoods, we would be able to do it a lot, you know, faster, and it would definitely take up faster.
That's what's up. No, I think you're right. I really think you're right. It is, I think, a lack of just it's a lack of exposure. It's just a lack of exposure, and I'm glad that it seems like we're getting people like yourself who are knocking people's faces off. Like that always helps, you know, and it's continuing to grow, man. But now I want to talk about something fun, and I really appreciate your time today, man. Seriously, this is dope.
Hey, no
He's
problem.
like, man, we're chilling, bro. Comic books. Spider-Man. I seen it, bro. I'm be honest with you, he's one of my top 3, especially Miles Morales.
I'm glad to hear.
Brother, I'm Black and Puerto Rican. I had to. I found one. I was excited, man.
Hey, but before that, the closest thing we had was Miguel O'Hara in 2009.
Man, right. So we finally got one. So I'm excited. You know, so comic books, man. Is this something that you've always been involved in? You've always loved, and what is it with you and Spider-Man?
Oh, well, Spider-Man, first of all, I have to make this announcement, is the greatest superhero of all time.
All right, you know, there it is.
Like, I'm joking, but I'm dead serious at the same time. But seriously, like, I like comic books a lot. Spider-Man, for me, was the first comic book that I ever got. My grandfather bought me my first Spider-Man comic book at Coney Island when I was like 7 years old, and you know that I like to read before, but once I got my hands on that first comic book, and it was I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was it was Spider-Man and Human Torch fighting Venom, and the cover was amazing. I read it, got really involved, but what I liked a lot was Spider-Man was a science nerd, and I kind of still am, a huge science nerd, and I read his origin, and what was crazy about him was he got picked on all the time, but when he got superpowers, he didn't beat up his bullies. Like he started to save. He saved Flash Time. He did all these things to save the high school that where he was getting tormented. He had like 1 or 2 friends there, but he always protected them because it was the right thing to do. And of course, he had the responsibility situation with Uncle Ben that helped them. But it was just that part I always kind of connected with. And then from there, I went from him to a bunch of other comic books because I didn't have a comic book shop in my neighborhood, but it had this store called Key Point where they sold for $1. You got 3 comic books. You know, you could see one on the outside, one on the other side, and one in the middle was a mystery one. So I ended up getting like a bunch of other comic books that I would never have bought before, and reading them. Oh, was pretty good.
That's what's up.
They're kind of like snowballed into an avalanche of comic books. Yeah,
it's cool. So the reason I bring it up and I ask, I'm a big comic book fan. I was, as a growing up, I was into it, and when I see individuals, especially in combat sports, who grew up, like, bro, I got into martial arts because of Ninja Turtles. I'm not even gonna stunt. 1000% Ninja Turtles.
I believe it.
It's it. And especially the generation that we're from. That was like the cartoon.
Well, but that and also martial arts movies, like the old martial arts movies, Power Rangers, I don't even remember the show. It was called WMAC Masters. It used to come on a long time ago. It was almost like WWE but with martial arts. Man, that show got me hurt so many times.
Like, the black dude with the dreads who was like a cyborg or something.
And the other one that had the whip on his hair, and he was swinging around the Willy whip. And he had his son too. Man, I used to get so excited watching these shows. So I understand what you're saying. I understand.
All right, man. And we'll keep it with a little fun, man. Even though quarantine is not as fun, what have you been doing yourself? I know you want to fight. I know you're getting ready to get after it, man. But how are you keeping yourself just getting through this time?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm hanging out with my family a lot, because we're all here together, and I usually play a lot, so it's kind of like, this isn't much different than how I usually, yeah. Like, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but it's true. Like, I play video games all the time, read comic books, watch anime, and I go train, and then in between that, I pick up my wife from work, I pick up my son from school, and then we hang out. And he's, by the grace of God, just like me. He likes comic books and video games too. So we kind of go through that throughout the day, and we kind of set that groundwork early, So so every day we're able to hang out together and deal with that. And so I'm doing a lot of that stuff, and also reading books that I had a long time plan to read. Now I have the opportunity to get into it, and just learn new things every day. It's everything is, to me, it's gonna sound kind of crazy, but everything is related, right? So the reading the comic books and watching the anime and playing video games, that's a great way to focus in a different way. Kind of like let your mind relax. I forgot the name of the author, but this author, she talks about how your brain works and how you can kind of have this diffuse mode where you relax your brain, and as you relax your brain, you're able to recall things better and and make things happen faster. It's just pretty much just saying how when you train and you say you're doing biceps all day, right? You need to relax and do something else. Even if it's not workout related, and give your muscles a chance to heal and grow. The same thing happens to some extent with neurons in your neurons in your brain. You want to they're wired together and everything's fine, but you need to relax and let all the chemicals kind of release so you can do things better. So, a little bit of play, a little bit of work, and then all of a sudden work becomes play. They all start to kind of twine together. So, just doing those kind of things.
So what we're saying, people, is go out there and read some books. Don't just sit out here and Netflix and chill. Come on, read a book.
It's good stuff there too, There is a lesson to be learned in every single like form of entertainment there is. I mean, a lot of the books that I've read because I was watching something and they mentioned Hemingway, and I was like, oh, what's this Farewell to Arms thing? And let me go read this. This sounds awesome. And then that Jekyll and Hyde from just the Incredible Hulk. Like from we got to another time, I guess.
Dude, yo, we can 1000% do this again and talk all like comic books. Yeah. Bro, I am all about that life. We can do that.
I was gonna say just the Incredible Hulk and Jekyll and Hyde and all these kind of things that kind of push you to like if you're interested in a little bit, there's a good chance if you read a lot about it, you'll be interested in a lot. So just like putting it that way,
No, it makes sense, man. Well, look here. Before I get you out of here, let's do this then. For people listening, let me get, because all of us, like I said, I keep calling it Corona in combat, because we might as well, like I said, tag it. We're doing our thing, man. So give me one classic fight, give me one book, one movie that you recommend for during this time that people can go ahead and check out.
Ooh, one classic fight. That's you know what it is, like that's a hard one because there's a lot of stuff that I think. So maybe we should go for length, maybe. Man, that one's like it feels a little too difficult for me. I don't know.
Give me your top 3 favorite fights. If you just off the top of your head, just give me like, because I know it's easier with like not to whittle them down. Just give me a couple of them. Just throw them, because there are so many great fights.
Just trying to grade them is hard, but I would say like for all sports or just MMA.
MMA.
MMA?
No, MMA, kickboxing, boxing, some combat sports.
Well, if we do kickboxing, I'm gonna say there's a great one that I really like is this guy Masato.
Okay.
Kobayashi Masato versus Arthur Kenshenko. That's like one of my favorite fights, kickboxing to watch.
Yeah.
For MMA.
K1.
Yeah, also K1. Yeah. Man, K1, this is my jam.
Absolutely, dude.
For MMA, I'm gonna say it's gonna be an Anderson Silva fight for sure. I kind of like going through all the different the things. It's gonna be an Anderson Silva fight for sure. I would say Anderson Silva versus maybe Stephen Bonner. I was gonna say Forrest Griffith, because the Forrest one, but I feel like he did a lot of cool stuff in that Stephen Bonner fight that some people kind of didn't pick up on. So maybe that one.
That's a great fight.
There's so many other, all right, but and then for boxing, like any Mike Tyson one is good. Any Pernell Whitaker one is good. But I'm gonna say just as somebody to look at that I like a lot. I will go with anyone that Hagler and Hearns or anyone.
It was just the anniversary of that fight day before yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
Perfect opportunity right there. Like watching the fights and breaking them up and just looking at segments and just seeing the artistry and the genius involved and all these little things. These guys trained hard, and they had a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? Like kind of pre-packaged responses in terms of the execution, because they had them from previous experience. But when you look at the amount of judgments they make on just within like a 2-minute span, like he moves, he reacts to that movement, he feints, he sees he reacts to the feint, like it's crazy. I love those fights. So definitely those. For a book, I think a really I want to say the Tao Jeet Kune Do,
Great book, yeah.
That's a good one. I want to read and think about. Not to read as like let me go through this book, but read a couple quotes, look at things a little bit, and then you can see how they are. That would be a good one. And you said movie. Movie. I'm probably gonna stay on the same route, but I'm gonna go with The Last Dragon. So The Last Dragon. Yeah, I watched that. That's another movie from when I was a kid. That used to get me hype. Like before I saw Goku go Super Saiyan, I saw this dude. I saw him become the master, and I was like, okay, this guy is cool. So I think that's another good one too.
Bro, now you like that one because now you guys are literally about to be fighting out there in the Kumatang. That's why. That's then I got to fight out. Y'all go straight Kumatang out there, man.
Oh man, that's that whole like Bloodsport Enter the Dragon vibe, you know? Like you just
Facts.
he can't beat
it's
it.
awesome, man. Well, dude, Dwight, man, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Last thing I want to ask you before you get out of here, if you have an opportunity to tell somebody, you want to introduce you to somebody through your fights, which one of those fights would it be?
Oh man, I guess it have to be one of the more recent ones. I would say the fight versus maybe Pertasoli in Prague. Okay. Maybe that one. Yeah, because like that was me. Yeah. Like, you know, like that was almost like what's going on now, like me kind of like hunkering down, but this is who I am, this is how I fight, and I want to fight the way I fight. I want to fight the way I like to fight. Oh, thanks. Yeah, and you know, it looks like really like I kind of watched it since, you know, and it looks like kind of wild because I do like a lot of weird stuff, like ducking under kicks, you know. But that's how I feel. Like that's how I express myself, and I felt like I was me. So that's definitely the one to watch. I'm gonna be honest
with you. That's the fight where I was like, because you see guys coming from the Contender Series and all the other ones, and you're like, oh, okay, we'll see how they do. That's the fight that I saw. I was like, oh, this dude's for real. I was like, oh, okay, like. Bro, one of the most, like I said, devastating knockouts, man. Great performance, man. And, bro, much continued success for the rest of your career, man. I will hopefully do this again. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Dwight Grant MMA, and Twitter as Dwight Grant. Yeah. Oh, and also like video games and stuff like that. Like I have my Punches and Dragons thing that I do like for video games, and I post about every day on there on Instagram. So that's Twitch. Twitch, oh yeah, Twitch is the same thing. Punches and Dragons. Right. You know? I'm
trying to get into. I need to get into video games. Like I've been wanting to. Like that's the one thing I don't. So I'm gonna check it out.
I'm telling you, you want to talk about video games? You come to the right place. Like, I'm ready to make it right, man. No problem.
Well, Dwight, man, thank you so much once again, brother. I hope we can do this sometime again soon. Good luck with everything, and hope we can get you out here fighting soon, man. Hope maybe on May 9th, maybe the card right after that. Who knows?
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Brother. You have a good one, man. Take care.
Hey, too.
All right, guys. All right. That was a fun one, man. That was a great one, man. Dwight Grant, good dude, man. Good dude. If you haven't had an opportunity, I am telling you, he was 1,000% correct. That Carlo Petrozzi fight that he had was super entertaining. One of the best one-round fights you'll see. And it's funny that he brought that up, especially right after talking about the Hagler-Hearns fight, which is like one of the greatest one-rounds you'll ever see. Same thing. Amazing one-round fight. He went out there, did work, man. This dude has an opportunity to be a legitimate star. I'm really happy that he came on the show, man. And as always, man, I'm happy that you guys are here joining me once again today, man. So without further ado, this has been the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. I am your host, the Underground King, SERG VICENTE. We will see you guys right here on the Fight Podcast next time, man. Thank you guys for joining us. And don't forget to sign up for Hot Mic, man. Sign up for Hot Mic, use promo code Sergio, and we'll keep the party going. Take care.